Hi. So I'm gonna be talking about period two, what happened, why, and other key events that had a huge impact on this time period or was significant. I guess you would. Uh, this period showing shifted the spotlight from the history of Native Americans to a more diverse um, topic. It shone light on the established societies in this new land. So the establishment, for example, the establishment of Jamestown in 1607 marked the first permanent English settlement in North America. The Virginia Company financed the Joint Stock Company financed the venture seeking economic gains through the cultivation of tobacco. Tobacco was also a very key concept to look out for is the impact of tobacco in this newly formed society. The Pilgrims, seeking religious freedom, established the Plymouth colony in 1620. They signed the Mayflower Compact, an early form of self-government, and the Massachusetts Bay Colony, founded by the Puritans in 1630, aimed to create a city upon a hill, which is a very distinct phrase from John Winthrop's. I forgot what name the title was. John Winthrop's book, which I forgot, As a Modern Society. I'm unable to remember the name, but the phrase was coined from his book of this supposed goal of God is to explore and spread their religion to other places. Other colonies such as Maryland, Rhode Island, and Pennsylvania were founded for various reasons, including religious freedom, economic opportunity, and proprietary value ventures. Native American interactions between English initial varied from cooperation and conflict. Like I said before, they weren't really a very hot. They weren't. So English settlers weren't really hostile at the beginning to Native Americans, but as time went on, it got more. I would say tensions began to rise. Conflicts such as the Powhatan War, which was from 1610 to 1646, and King Philip's War, 1675 to 1676, erupted due to competing interests, land disputes, and cultural differences. The fur trade played a significant role in early colonial interactions with Native American tribes, leading to alliances and rivalries between different groups. The development of the middle ground in areas like No France, just Canada, which is considered Canada now, and the Great Lakes region allowed for more peaceful coexistence and trade between Europeans and Native Americans. Development of colonial societies, like the New England colonies, were characterized by a strong emphasis on religion, family, and education. Town meetings fostered a sense of self-government and community. The Chesapeake colonies, which was located in Maryland and Virginia, relied heavily on tobacco cultivation, and developed a plantation-based system economy. Slavery became increasingly important for labor needs. Also, why slavery becomes so important? Because there was this concept known as the I forgot what it was called, but it was so basically New England colonists or citizens would arrive in these new colonies and would work under a boss for an allocated an amount of time, and when they finished, they were given salaries and given their own land to cultivate. Basically, they were given. I forgot what the term was called, but I think you'll learn about that later in a different time period. But Shays Rebellion was was a direct effect of that. The middle colonies, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, and Delaware, were characterized by religious diversity, ethnic tolerance, and a mix of agricultural and commercial needs. The southern colonies, Carolina, North Carolina, and Georgia, featured a plantation economy dependent on cash crops like rice and indigo, which also relied heavily on enslaved labor, like I said earlier. Slavery played a very significant role in the labor-intensive economies of the southern colonies. Development of the transatlantic slave trade resulted in the forced migration of millions of Africans to the Americas. The legal framework for slavery was established through laws such as the Virginia Slave Codes and the South Carolina Slave Codes, which defined slaves as property and severely restricted their rights. Slavery became deeply entrenched in this new colonial society, shaping racial attitudes, labor systems, and economy. Slave revolts, such as the Stoner Rebellion, highlighted resistance against the institution. Over time, the colonies developed forms of self-government. The Mayflower Compact, like I said earlier, colonial assemblies and town meetings served as examples of this. The concept of representative government was further strengthened by institutions like the Virginia House of Burgesses, and the Fundamental Orders of Connecticut. The English colonial experience fostered ideas of individual rights, the rule of law, which would later influence the American Revolution, which is a little spoiler alert for next period, I guess. It is important to note that the conflict in this aforementioned period was slavery was a big one. Slavery wouldn't really play a huge role as a conflict in this because slavery was a one-way street. Because, I mean, Americans felt fine when they felt fine about the issue of slavery because it was a very common thing to own a slave back then. But I would say if we're considering slaves as Americans in this point in time, because they were basically considered property, not full humans, I would say. But if you were considering slaves as Americans, well, then slavery would be a conflict at the heart of the American interest. But if we're not, then I would say slavery was not a conflict. That might be a very not diverse take, but it is what it is. A different conflict that was highlighted was interaction between Native Americans and English settlements, because there were some tensions rising from interaction between, because while the Native Americans had a common name, their values and beliefs varies on who you ask. So, for example, if you were to ask a Pueblo Native American and what they felt about Americans coming or about colonists coming to your line and stealing your food, I would say he would have a different response compared to a different society of Native Americans, because although they all had the same name and lived under the same umbrella, they were very different people, I would say. So yeah, thank you.